going on, y'all? Okay. I'm sorry I'm late, y'all. I literally had to rush. She's live right now. So let's tune in. I hope I'm not missing anything. Y'all know how I like to be live when she live and then type in her chat. Can y'all see? Can y'all hear? Put a one in the chat if you can hear.
Truly Zionists that infiltrated my book club, you did not need to pay the $9.99 to find out how I feel about this.
This is all she's been talking about.
I think I'm hiding how I feel. It's very weird.
So why strike the channel?
We have to try to listen in to hear what she really thinks.
Why strike the video?
What I really think. I think it's crap. Okay?
She's so mad.
Club holds. It's never good when the feds are lining up to give you a holiday. Not good. You know, Martin Luther King vibes. Martin Luther King Jr. I think maybe the feds definitely killed Martin Luther King Jr.
You can't make this up.
In school, we get to learn about him. We got this whole holiday. Oh, he was such a great. I love that I have a dream speech. Oh, the feds. Oh, man, you're good. You were so great. It's unfortunate that we had to murder you. I don't like it because the best way to honor Charlie Kirk is very obvious. Figure out who killed him first. Let's celebrate the holiday later. I want to figure out who killed him first. And so I'm struck by this. I'm struck by Trump and the lack of demand, the lack of pushing on the narrative.
I thought she didn't support him.
Trump has really represented himself, at least as me, someone who voted for him twice. He represented himself as an individual who didn't trust the federal establishment.
Can y'all hear?
This feels like
y'all can't hear her?
Here, your friend.
What?
He
can only hear
you in many ways like a father figure, right? Hey, Fed, what's going on here? And I said, maybe he did, because I was in this aggrieved stage and I really didn't poke my head up until weeks later when I could stop crying about it every second. And
trying to get it.
I missed it. Maybe Trump did actually say this is crap. Maybe he did call for an investigation. And we did a search on Truth Social to see how many times President Trump tweeted or Truth Social calling for further investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder.
It echoes
one tweet that we could find to that effect. And this tweet is not what I would describe as him calling for an investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder, actually. Here it is. This is the only one we could find. Why was the wonderful turning point under investigation by deranged Jack Smith and a corrupt and incompetent Biden administration? They tried to force Charlie and many other people and movements out of business. They weaponized the Justice Department against sleepy Joe Biden's political opponents, including me. They allowed the daughter of a judge of one of the corrupt trials against me to become the biggest fundraiser for Biden and Kamala, making millions of dollars for herself and her family. But with her father, the judge, not only refusing to recuse himself, but putting a gag order on me, not allowing any talk about their family corruption and unprecedented conflict of interest. Well, that's not going to age well, the gag order thing, is it? Every leading legal analyst and pundit said this trial was wrong and should not have been allowed to go forward. But it did because of a corrupt judge who will hopefully pay a very big price for his illegal action someday. Okay. Scale of 1 to 10, how much is that do you feel about Charlie Kirk? I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. I don't know what to make of that. Like I said, it's pretty obvious. They want us to just look at everything and go, case closed. Don't you see? We're all united. We're standing up here. We're giving him a holiday. We're signing that. And we've got all these photographers here. Turning Point's chief fundraiser lady here. And she's crying. So obviously she loved Charlie. Kash Patel was there. Of all the people, unbelievable to me. They're here. Kash Patel's here. So you can see we're all united. You can totally trust the FBI science now. We're ruling out corruption. That's why we don't know what Jeffrey Epstein files are talking about. Because we look, all we had to do was win against Democrats and corruption would be over. Are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? I'm sorry. You know, I've realized something actually and truly. They made, in retrospect, the absolute best decision not inviting me to speak at Charlie's memorial. Like, kudos to whoever made that call, because I would have just been on my best Kanye. I would have jumped on stage and just grabbed the mic from Susie Wiles or someone and said, "Are you kidding me? What is going on here? What is happening?" Even Trump's speech, remember when he just kind of worked in the story about Charlie interviewing a fourth grader, and he was referring to Breland Holland. And I'm saying Holland, by the way, because that was his name when Charlie interviewed him, because Trump wasn't there, nothing to do with Trump. When Charlie went on that fourth grader's podcast, his name was Breland Holland, and I was next to him. It was me and Charlie. A weird story for Trump to just obscurely pluck out of thin air to say on stage at his memorial. He wasn't there. He had nothing to do with him. The kid had some connections and, of course, was really sweet and adorable and in fourth grade and super polite and energetic and was like, "I'd love to interview you." I can't remember who the guy was who was his dad. I got him the interview with us. And all of a sudden, Trump's just saying this story on stage at Charlie's memorial as if he was there. And he wasn't. So what's going on? Regarding Kash Patel showing his face there, I legitimately do not know how these people do it, okay? I would literally die from shame. I would pass away right immediately from shame before I would show up to that event if I was Kash Patel. Like, did they breed it out? Is this a new breed of human that I don't know about? Where you feel nothing, there's just nothing. It's like a Josh Hammer thing. They don't feel any sense of shame at all, and they can just go, 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 and pretend that you're honoring. I don't understand it. I truly don't understand it, because I have to be a different species from whatever that is. I would melt. I'd rather melt at the floor than show my face, knowing how badly I was dropping the ball. The whole world was dropping the ball. How do you show up to work, Kash Patel? And the answer is he shows up to work and he demands that everybody stop looking into it because he's got it under control. He's got a very small team of people at the FBI that are allowed to touch anything pertaining to the Charlie Kirk case because, you know, this is transparency. Finally, the adults are in charge, and it's going to be the details into this apparently alarmed Kash Patel. It says Kash Patel was alarmed. He called a meeting, in fact, right? He wanted to investigate the assassination pertaining to Joe Kent. They were like, hey, maybe people overseas were involved in his murder. Maybe they were thinking, BB's saying too much. Can we just look at these files? Because it's our job, overseas terrorism. And Kash Patel was so alarmed by this, so alarmed that they would look into these files, that he held a meeting, apparently. Oh, what are you? This is not appropriate. It's not appropriate for you to be looking into this, okay? We don't want you knowing whether or not there was a foreign power or another entity that was involved in this. And this is the reason that Kash Patel decided to have a meeting with Susie Wiles and Joe Kent and Tulsi Gabbard and Trump officials. I think it said J.D. Vance was in this meeting as well, and nothing was accomplished. Because why wouldn't you, if you're the most transparent administration ever, share? Get the help. Hey, we're supposed to be partners in this. Don't we want to find out who killed Charlie Kirk? And the answer is no. We don't all want to find out who killed Charlie Kirk. I think that's apparent, right? It's pretty obvious that we do not all want to find out who murdered Charlie Kirk because they're not acting right.
Sorry,
Nobody is acting right now. And it's stunning. We are making...
Hold on. Okay.
We're getting close.
Sorry about that.
Stunning turning point lie that came out. And you're going to start feeling some type of way about the people who are all apparently mourning him. And the best way to mourn, of course, is to lie. Be right back after a quick break.
Oh my
All right, you
God.
guys, I've been talking.
Okay, I'm so sorry, you all. I was trying to get my headphones corrected, and I couldn't hear, and then it was coming out through the laptop. But right now, it seems like I didn't miss much of anything other than her fussing about the thing yesterday. Um, so are you guys able to hear me, see me? Because she's doing commercials right now. Can y'all see me and hear me? Put a one in the chat if you can. Let me know. Put a one in the chat if you can see me and hear me. I don't think she understands how investigations work. Can you guys see me and hear me? Okay, good. Awesome, awesome. Thank you all. I just want to make sure. My headphones, y'all saw me playing with the headphones. It wasn't connecting. So, but we're good now. She's doing commercials. So far, seems like the only thing she's been yammering about is the video with Milk Bar TV. And she's talking about Kash Patel being embarrassed and all this stuff. I mean, they're investigating a murder, and she's sitting here throwing a hissy fit over it.
And financing because
And then she does nothing but sponsorships and ads. Like, what? She really thinks that the FBI director. Oh, I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. Welcome in. Guys, make sure you hit the like button. Sorry for the technical difficulties and, rushing from getting done with work. But we're here. We're here. So we're gonna be chiming and listening in, and there will be times where I probably will go into her chat because that's how we do it here. This girl is crazy. She has lost her mind. She thinks Kosh Patel should not have went to the funeral. What is wrong with her? So no, that's not how it works. But I just it's irritating to for her to keep. She's saying the same old thing over and over and over again. We all know she doesn't trust the feds. Blah blah blah. She doesn't like Kosh Patel, but now she's sitting here, acting as if no one else should support the investigation or should have support. It's like anyone that shows any level of support towards, Erica Kirk, the kids, Turning Point USA, she's making them a target. And this is crazy. So she's still on her they're talking about Cash meet me outside. What? She's still talking about her sponsorships. Ugh.
let's say your friend just had a
Yeah, okay. But she doesn't have a problem spitting out her sponsorships while she's supposed to be allegedly reporting on her friend's death, right? She don't have a problem with this. She good with all this. Just will do 5-minute sponsorships while she's unalive about anything, whomever's paying her. But she's supposed to be reporting on her friend's death too. You can't make this up. Let's get back to it.
From the Charlie Kirk show. He seemed very happy to jump in that seat thereafter. I think we were all expecting after this video went viral that we would hear from him regarding his actions there as soon as Charlie got shot. We were told by Andrew Colvett, who is now missing from today's episode of the Charlie Kirk show, that it was because Charlie was very explicit. Charlie said, if I ever get shot at an event, the left side of my neck, the first thing I want you to do is not help me. Okay. And how could we not do anything but trust the science here? We just gotta trust the science. We'll never know.
Yeah, because you can't trust anything else.
Apparently, not do anything, just easily put away any of these quote unquote conspiracies that are unhealthy. I wanted to show you this comment. It was actually under his show yesterday. Well, actually, might have been the day before that, regarding Charlie's unique instructions to his friends, right? This is a comment. Charlie's instructions are actually insane. Number one, leave me with no help or first aid. That is true. He was not administered any first aid. I have the close-up videos of that. Very strange to me because that's what they're supposed to be experts in. No gauze taken at nothing, not even securing the wound as they carried him to the hospital. And I do not accept, by the way, that it was because things were crazy. He literally pays you millions of dollars of years to know what to do, security team, when things are crazy. Are you still employed? Did you fail at your one job? I don't know. We're going to find out. Anyways, His second instruction, this lady writes, film your reaction in selfie mode. Charlie must have wanted it. It's what he would have wanted, I think. He would have wanted it. I don't know.
How dare they
3,
speak
take
for
all
him?
the SD cards just in case. Secure the footage and never reveal it to anyone but the
Hey,
feds who
say,
have always been so trustworthy.
all
And
Lux is,
4,
hey,
quickly cover the scene in case anybody wants to
MB,
get justice for me. Yeah, that really is. Those are
Miss Faye.
some instructions.
Those are not
Did
instructions.
Charlie Kirk have any real friends? What do you guys think? Because the more
You're
that
not
time
one.
goes by, the more upset I am
You
at
can't make
everyone
this up.
who's lying about every little thing. And I wouldn't mean literally little things, right? Not even the big things, but the little things. That's why the Catholic point.
Y'all send me some questions and comments y'all want me to throw in her chat because I will leave it in there.
Oh, we thought he was close to converting. He was going to the mass. And then suddenly Operation Mocking Pastor or Mocking Evangelical Influencer went out. And they all were like, that's not true. That's not
Where
true. And I'm like, what do you mean it's
is
not true? Don't be absurd.
Video
Don't be
of
absurd.
the
Why lie? I
shooter
reflect
with
on
the woman.
that moment. And I think it was right after memorial service, a couple of days after the memorial service, where Alex Clark released that interview with her and Andrew Colvett. And they struggle sessioned through that. They were like, no, they were both committed evangelicals, and him and Erica, and he liked the smells.
Y'all leave me questions. I can put it
in
in her chat.
He loved the architecture, but there was no more substance.
Putting questions
for him.
in her chat. Let's go.
I really struggled with that, and I struggle with it even more Tanya. Now that I know that Charlie Kirk, has been a lot of questions about what about his burial? How come we haven't seen anything about his burial? We saw so much and then we saw nothing.
You weren't invited.
And the reason that's like a big hush-hush secret is because Charlie
it's private.
Funeral mass, and he is buried in a Catholic cemetery. Yeah, but really, it was about the architecture. I want you to understand.
What?
Why the little lies?
Who lied?
I think we can only speculate that it's because
they're
worried about the money, right? They do not want to upset the very same people who were pressuring Charlie Kirk. And I love when they say, oh, another thing Andrew said in that interview, they're only a small portion of our donors relative to the rest of our donors. Okay, but are they cutting the bigger checks? Like Bob Showman took $2 million away. That's got to mean something. If he brought in $70 million last year and he took away $2 million just like that, are they cutting the bigger checks? Because then it's relevant. And I think the answer to that is yes. I think they insisted and are pressuring them, as we are hearing, to maintain the idea that Charlie died pro-Israel. But to do that, to have the stomach to do that, to know that you knew where he was buried, and attended that mass, and you had the stomach to sit down and to gaslight me. That's what you did. You were gaslighting me, actually.
You're not that important, girl.
Didn't say my name, but you were referring to me, right? Oh no, he was just the most committed evangelical. What's wrong with everybody? Why does nobody have?
Y'all see me put in the comment.
I don't know. The spirit moving within them, just like I don't know. I would just be sickened with myself. I can't lie like that. I can't lie anywhere close to that. I can't even fib. And you're able to just sit up there like a soldier and just delude everybody, delude the masses, and sometimes do it through tears to be extra convincing. That's crazy to me. It's wild to me. Speaking on a note of who his friends are, I will tell you,
you're not his friend.
One, like I said at the top of the show, that could have upset me more than Don Jr. Okay, Don Jr. was one of Charlie's friends, like brother, literally a brother. Don Jr., by the way, I would say was one of the people who very much helped to build Turning Point USA. He was there, okay? He did a ton of college campus events with me and Charlie, and we were always so grateful. I remember when Don Jr. started following me, I have the text messages with Charlie. I was like, oh my, Don Jr. is following me. This is amazing. He would retweet me.
Yeah,
the beginning of the Candace story includes Don Trump Jr. being probably, without question actually, the most committed Trump family member to Turning Point USA.
She's mad because she wasn't invited. Okay?
And like I said, I know how Charlie felt about Don Trump Jr. So when Megyn Kelly asked him what he thought about the investigation into Charlie's assassination, I was expecting him to say, I think it's crap. But that is not what he said. In
No
fact, he did
one
his best
feels that
not to
way but
answer the
you.
question, as you'll see. And then Megyn Kelly holds him to it, and then you'll hear what he says. Take a listen.
How do you feel about the investigation into Charlie's death? Can we have faith in it? Do you feel like it's being well handled?
So far, listen, so far so good. I think, I've had this conversation with a lot of the guys that have been, very involved from the beginning, and others that are a big part of that movement that are going to take, more of a role. Guys like JD, like, hey, he believes we have to keep this going. People, myself, hey, I did a lot of them, but I got to do even more. We got to keep this going. There's never going to be a replacement for Charlie Kirk. You can't plug that in. But if we can find 10 people that can do 10% of what he did, and they go all in,
Why does she
and
have
do
Erica
that,
Kirk on her
we
show?
can keep that alive. And honestly, we all owe that to him.
Just to round back, do you have confidence in the investigation? Should we have confidence in this FBI investigation?
Exactly. Same.
I do. And I mean, I
This
don't
is
know.
definitely revenge
I
art
don't like it
for
when
them
the people
to
have
keep
the
her out
private,
of it.
but I've spoken.
They
to
need to keep her out. Look how she's acting.
everyone, around, and
Tanya said,
Erica,
"Who
like,
gives a damn?"
like I do have confidence. And, when I start seeing some of the other stuff, it's like, man. And by the way, just so we're clear, as you all probably know, if you're here, you probably follow me a little bit. Like, I'm about as conspiratorial as it gets within the
not
realm
over-
of sanity, for good cause, right? I think I was the guy that first said, like, the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is usually about 6 months. I was the guy canceled for pushing all of the obvious things that were conspiracy
no one
theories,
is
that,
willing to go
Wuhan,
off the
whatever it
ledge
may
with
be,
Candace.
lab virus leak. The problem is that there is a cottage industry of just clicks. And
You wanna
people
talk
that
about
are more
Officer
than
Tate?
happy
I don't
to,
even know who he is.
profiteer,
No.
off of that. Again, I'm not saying that a lot of this stuff isn't real and isn't true, and I've been pushing all of that, but
Hey, Paul.
some of the stuff does get a little bit off the rails, and I think,
Oh, good to
you're
see
really, it's been used even by the other side as a
mock her
way
for
to
crying.
distract
I don't know who
from
knows.
the bigger picture of
Like,
what
why she-
happened to him, of
Yeah, I
what
know,
the
right?
other side has proven that they are
You can see
actually
it
willing
when
to
she looks
do.
when her name is mentioned. Says it all.
Man, oh man, so much I want to say to that clip. Okay, the first thing that I want to say is that Don Trump Jr. is not a bad guy. Not a bad guy. Don Trump Jr. is probably maybe akin in some ways to Mikey McCoy. I look at Mikey McCoy, I don't know Mikey McCoy at all, and I don't think he's an evil person. I think he is in the shadow of his father, right? I think he's in the shadow of his father. I think Don Jr. has been probably in the shadow of his father his entire life, because
Oh my
what he's
God.
saying when he begins to credentialize himself and said, oh, I was up at the Wuhan, said this about COVID, blah, blah, that's all true. That's the real Don Trump Jr. He was actually one of the people.
He's just not willing to go all the way there with her dumb conspiracy theories.
Dad said, are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein, right? And that's what I mean when I say someone who is in the shadow of his father. And it's a tough
That's a good question.
situation.
Why don't
to be
you
in.
investigate
So I do
Epstein?
want to be charitable in terms of thinking of that particular dynamic when Dad is saying this needs to be done, and you have to carry on knowing that you had a real relationship with Charlie, because you did have a real relationship with Charlie. But Don, from me to you, it's better to say nothing. Okay,
You
It's
can't
better
tell him what to say.
I'm just not going to answer that question.
What?
The best way you could honor Charlie Kirk, if you can't fight for him for some reason, is to simply say nothing.
You can't tell him what
Because I
to
looked
say.
at this clip and it bothered me for a lot of reasons, Don, because I know who you are. I know who you are. You're a hunter. You love to hunt, Don, right? Every
Look
picture
at her
of
being
you, you're in the
manipulating.
wilderness. Your whole life, you love to be in the wild. In fact, you taught me a lot about the wild and a lot about hunting.
She is manipulating.
And my favorite fishing experience is
Joanna.
actually with you, right? Fighting back the sea
She's
lions or
evil.
the seals in British Columbia. You know nature.
I don't talk
and I'm
about
not gonna
Officer
ask you to
Tatum.
go
I don't know
back
who he is.
against the nature of honoring your father, but I am going to ask you not to lie.
What?
And as a hunter,
What did he lie about?
you are not lying, and this is truly what you believe. You trust the investigation. I'm going to need you to make a video saying that
No,
you believe
he doesn't have to
Charlie
do what
was
you say.
shot by a 30-06 in the neck, and that somehow, through the miracle of God, Charlie
doesn't have to do
stopped
what
a
you say.
30-06. Not only stopped a 30-06, but was pretty much in good shape. Not even destroyed. His neck was not even destroyed by a 30-06. That kind of a miracle.
Yeah, they put
Don.
me on slow mode.
You know hunting, you know guns. And so I'm asking you if this is truly what you believe. to clarify that matter. Make a video, sit down with me, look me in the eye, and say, Candace, I really do think that Charlie, our friend, because you are his friend, you were his brother, stopped a 30-06 with his neck, which stayed intact.
Where's the medical evidence?
You won't say that, Dawn.
We've already seen her violate HIPAA.
You won't say that because it's untrue, and I think that spiritually it would mess with you. And the hunters that are listening know that you don't believe that.
She is
You know
gaslighting.
too much. Okay. So again, I'm going to ask you if you cannot say anything.
You can't
I
tell
understand the
him not
ties
to
that
say
bind. I
anything.
understand Jared and Ivanka and their investments in Israel and
She's
the
just
pressure that's
mocking
coming from the
everybody.
Zionists to simply be quiet. As his
No,
other
they don't have to.
brothers and sisters and people in the movement, people who don't even know Charlie, get to the bottom of this, because everything we're
You
being
can't make
sold
this up.
is absolute BS. That's my request to you, Don.
They don't have
Anyways,
to do
moving
that.
on from that, I do, on the topic of Israel, want to let you know that I was very excited to sit down and have a conversation, which we will be releasing on Friday
They do not owe you
with Norman
silence, girl.
Finkelstein. Norman Finkelstein was probably the single greatest contributor to me being sort of just smacked in the gut about Gaza, learning about Gaza. I think most people just didn't know, genuinely, like me, just did not know anything about the history of Gaza, knew nothing about it because it has been such a censored topic in America. And we were all told that, you know, it was our job after all of the Holocaust movies and
You
the
can't.
Holocaust indoctrination that took place in the school system to
I said free
be
speech,
triggered
Candace. He can
at
say
the
whatever he wants, and
idea
I can't stand his
that
guts.
anybody could have a thought against the modern state of Israel, which is only there because 6 million Jews perished in the
Ask
Holocaust.
her
We
why
all
she
grew up
feels
with
that
that,
people
right?
have to
Um,
answer her.
we
Okay.
grew up being indoctrinated not to ask a single question when it comes to Israel. That's the reality. And Norm Finkelstein, whose parents survived, one of his parents survived Auschwitz, was the reason I had him on my show right after October 7th, sometime shortly thereafter,
Why do
when I
you
was
feel
at
like
Daily
people have to
Wire.
answer you?
And what he told me horrified me, and it pushed me to
Come on
become
with
more
the questions,
educated on
y'all.
the
I'll put it
topic.
in
And I
there.
was so grateful that I was able to sit down with him again, this time on my totally owned
Exactly.
show. And I'm just going to show you
Station
a
one.
little trailer for that. Take a listen.
The Economist magazine, it describes Gaza as, quote, a human rubbish heap. The leading UN official on
You
Gaza
can't make this stuff up.
describes it as, quote, a toxic dump. For the people of Israel, Gazans are vermin. They're garbage. They're human refuse.
You guys were the ones that insisted
Totally agree.
that we all have a perspective on October 7th. Then when we looked and we pierced that veil, we went, oh my goodness, how was I ever pro-Israel? And now you want us to shut up.
There's a problem here. A billionaire class of Jewish supremacists are now flagrantly using money as a blackmail weapon to silence not just criticism of Jews,
Where's the evidence
but
that they
silence
did something to
criticism
Charlie?
of an ongoing genocide.
She is out of touch with reality. And this is tomorrow at 4.
You
Well,
guys, it is a deeply
Friday at 4.
informative interview. We did, I think, just over 2 hours discussing everything. And if you are someone who you're in limbo on the topic, I was certainly in limbo on the topic a couple of years ago. I no longer am in limbo, and you want to hear it
Somebody
from
said Candace is the
who
killer.
both has the credentials, the experience, and also happens to be Jewish. Then this is definitely the interview to listen to. Again, we'll be releasing that on Friday. Okay, going to do a couple of sponsors before I get
Oh
to
my God.
some of your comments and questions. All right, you guys, the fall.
Okay, so y'all see me putting comments in here, and you got like a mixture of stuff here. Here's the thing: I don't care for Don Jr. None of them. I just you don't stifle free speech. You don't get to do that. You don't get to sit here and say, "Oh, if you don't, if you can't tell the truth, if you can't say this, then just be quiet." No. Can you all imagine her actually trying to let her husband lead her household? I don't think her husband leads her household. There's no way that man has any say so in that household. Candace's husband is just there. He's just a walking peanut, just there to give help her give birth. That's it. She violated HIPAA. She did. So if you guys see the thumbnail that I posted up from the live stream on yesterday, she was sent a screenshot of a medical file with patient's information on it, and they blocked out everything except Charlie Kirk's information. But it came from a hospital, and that is a violation of HIPAA privacy laws. You're talking about an internal system at the hospital that was sent to her, a screenshot of patient information that was checked into the hospital. And they blacked out all the other patients except Charlie Kirk, just to prove he was taken to that specific hospital. And she showed it in her video yesterday, in her live yesterday. She showed the actual information and said, this person sent this to me from the hospital. That is a violation of HIPAA. She also showed a snippet of an email that was sent where I guess the charge nurse, the personnel working there basically said, because when you have high profile people go to the hospital, yes, they do have certain nurses and that typically get their doctor, but only a few people are designated to, deal with them and to go around them and stuff because of their, who they are. So, like Beyonce, when she had her kids and stuff, they had a whole wing of a hospital to themselves, just to keep people from coming down there because of who they are. So that's not uncommon. Famous people go to the hospital too. But she got someone at the hospital sent her a screenshot of the EMR system, the electronic medical record system of the patients that had checked in for the day. And they tried to redact everybody except Charlie Kirk's information. And they emailed this to her from the hospital, some staff at the hospital. They should lose their job. That's a violation of HIPAA. She's still talking about her commercial.
Which is simple, pure, and powerfully.
Yeah, she's still talking about dumb sponsors. She showed this stuff in her actual video yesterday. And so I took a print screen of her video of that snippet and put it on the thumbnail and said HIPAA violation. That's where that's coming from.
Who were asking about the new relic behind me, and I can tell you quickly how I got it. Obviously, it is new. When we were in Wyoming, we traveled with priests. It's something that my husband and I began doing not last year, the year before last year, and it has enriched our experience traveling as a family and kind of checking in with yourself and thinking through things theologically and also feeling a sense of protection to be able to
violation
pray.
of HIPAA.
I know that I have received so many emails from people and comments from people who felt compelled. So for some reason that you didn't even know. People said, I haven't gone to church in 45 years. And after I watched Charlie be assassinated, I knew that I needed to go to church. Don't ignore that, okay? You are not like a paper bag floating in the wind, like Katy Perry's song said. You do have a spirit. And what you are pulling, everyone feels that we are in some sort of a spiritual battle now. You're starting to wake up. I feel a lot of people right now are starting to wake up and realize something is wrong. I mean, people are asking, do we live in a matrix? Do we live in a military industrial complex? You recognize something is very wrong. Do not ignore your gut on that, okay? You do not descend from Homo sapien, Australopithecus. That is not the story of man. That's not the story of man. That's not where you were from. Like I said, you have a spirit, and there is more. There is more. Of course there is.
Yeah, Candace has an unfamiliar spirit. She talks to deceased people.
And the idea that they want you to believe is, no, this is it. You're here for about 80 years, so you just better be selfish and allow us to enslave you here where we have dominion. I'm talking about these demons that we are fighting, where we have dominion by getting you to compromise your values,
Jesus,
compromise who you are, to sell your soul in some circumstances, right? That's not an expression. People, we have observed this, have literally sold their souls.
It has nothing to do with her violating federal law.
Until they die. They'll realize what that actually means. They'll understand that hell is for an eternity, okay? And how we got here, okay, that the story of Saint Michael leading the angels in heaven, the great battle in heaven, knocking Satan and the angels that were behind him down to the earth. That is all very real. And Saint Michael is a
Did
prayer
she
of
say
protection
the
that
story
I feel
correct?
is very powerful. It's a very powerful prayer that we say
What's the name
every
of the
Sunday at
angel,
Mass. And
Candace?
I
Name the
think that,
angel.
just the way it starts,
You can't make
Saint
this up.
Michael, defend us in battle, be our protection against the wickedness and the snares of the devil.
You talk to
May
dead
God
people.
rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruins of soul. Amen.
Claiming to speak to dead
It's a
spirits.
powerful prayer. And we're there. We need protection. Okay. But I do think that once again, goodness, light is going to win. I feel that, and a lot of you feel that. And I'm loving your emails telling me about your dreams. People in Turning Point had dreams. There was one young woman who emailed me and said, Candace, like, I just have to tell you,
Turning
week leading
Point,
up to
please stop
this,
responding to
I
her.
had a very vivid dream about so and so at the company and 6 snakes that were around him. And I didn't know that Charlie was going to be assassinated.
That's demonic.
And this person recounted their dream in detail. And there was many people who dreamed for whatever reason the number 6 was in their dreams
That's
in terms of
demonic,
the
Candace.
weapon, whatever it was 6 that was appearing. And so I'm kind of going by a vibe that there may be 6 people who betrayed him by the
Insane.
end of this.
No,
because
you
there
don't
was
go on someone's
one too many
business.
dreams
What
that
if they
affect
made it
the
up?
people around the world. Trust your gut. Don't ignore your dreams.
Oh my
Don't ignore your
God.
intuition. Anyway, some more comments that we have here.
What does that have to do with the
Max
investigation?
Hardy writes, Hey, Candace, I'm 16 and homeschooled. I watch every episode. We are praying for your protection. I just got Blackout the book, finishing the college scam, and then I will definitely have to get Josh Hammer's book because Charlie supported it and just wanted everybody to read it. No, of course, duh. Like, obviously, are you kidding me? Like ASAP. It was basically his last words, right? And then that was what he said. Josh Hammer, sell your book no matter what, man. Also on his list of instructions. Maria Garcia writes, Candace, what does it mean to be Charlie's David? I think it probably means
Need
that
to
we got to
vet
slay
this
some
info.
Goliaths. May God bless you. Who knows? I mean, I never, and we never could have imagined
How,
the weight
how
of
does
what
that
his
make sense,
dreams
y'all?
were.
Be his David.
But I think what
He's
I take
Goliath.
from it and what I understood and why it brought me to tears when I realized that
She just makes
this
stuff
moment
up.
happened is he knew his life was going to be short, and he knew that for whatever reason I was going to be the only one
This
that
is
defended
so
him
demonic.
publicly. That would go to war with everyone, and I mean that.
That's
With
because she
everyone.
believes
I
this
just
bullshit.
don't care. You don't get to do this. You don't get
Candace,
to
do you believe this
force me to
bullshit?
watch someone that I came up with catch a bullet in his throat and then tell me to shut up. Okay? There's got to be rules here. You don't get to do this. And you're losing. You feel that, right? You feel the energy is not behind you. There's a reason for that.
Huh?
There isn't any energy behind you.
What?
The energy is not going to follow darkness. It's
Candace,
just
you
not.
and the devil are lying.
T-Dos writes, I wore my Candace CIA sweater in public today. A woman came up to me and called me brave and said, good for you. I love it. In that moment, I was so proud to be on the side of truth. Keep going and don't
The
stop. You are
CIA
so
will
supported.
sue
I
you,
know.
right?
I know that I am not supported by the people in suits. I know I am not supported by, Susie Wiles' White House. I know that I am not supported
They will sue you over
by
that
the
logo.
donors, the big
Her
donors, the
mods, y'all.
Jewish
They trying to
donors
slow
at
me
Turning
down.
Point USA who are pressuring Charlie. But I know that none of that matters. None of that actually matters. And guess what? I didn't sell my soul.
You don't have their
Didn't sell
permission
my
to
soul.
use the logo.
And all I'm trying to do is to get into heaven and hope that I see my friend again. Christine Jones writes, TPUSA died with Charlie. I mean, I've seen a lot of your comments about like the show is not the same, and it's because nothing can survive when it is being choked by lies. And that's ultimately what I hope for these people,
lie?
going back to my point that I actually don't believe in the death penalty because it's too easy. For the people who didn't kill Charlie, but perhaps betrayed him before or after, because I feel
There's only one
like
person that's charged for
accepting
killing
this
him.
bogus narrative is an act of betrayal. I want these people to go through
She doesn't have
the
a soul.
rest of their lives, long lives. I want them to have long lives, actually. And in every room they walk in, it's suffocating.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
suffocated by people's looks, people's thoughts. They can feel the energy of people knowing. You
The
too?
Bible speaks against that.
We know. I want them to feel that energy. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what promotion you get, what title you have, what chief you are. The people
Bible
around
speaks
you, in
against you
every
cursing others,
room
Candace.
you walk into, know right? They don't know, but they know.
That's a lie.
And
They
that
so
should
what?
mean everything. Melanie Smiles writes, Candace, this is bigger than what the world thinks. Charlie knew you understood the assignment. Charlie's David, you are chosen for such a time as this. God will protect you. Nothing will harm you. Bays writes, the fact that they tried to pass that off as a wound from a 30-06 just tells us how stupid they think that we really are. They overestimated those Maxwell published textbooks that they tried to
Conspiracy theories
indoctrinate
don't
us
work in
with.
court,
I'm
Candace.
glad people are waking up. Yeah, if you don't know what he's referencing, Ghislaine Maxwell's father did indeed
Y'all see
begin
me? I'm going in on her
alongside,
chat.
I think it was Macmillan, don't quote me. It was like Maxwell Macmillan Publishing, our
I'm going in on
textbooks
her chat.
coming from the Jeffrey Epstein empire is kind of amazing. We discussed this in our Epstein series. If you'd like to go back and watch that, we've saved that on YouTube as one of the series, and it's a good one to go through. You'll start to understand how this all works. Julie writes, Tucker Carlson interviewed the original creator of Wikipedia. It's totally corrupt now, according to him, and he got pushed out. Now
Erica
he
Kirk is
got
gonna
it,
sue
it
her.
was always corrupt. I mean, we showed you that video of at the time he was not the prime minister of Israel, but he became the prime minister of Israel, and he showed how they were training people to edit articles on Wikipedia so that it favored Zionists and the Zionist cause. And it was just like it's an incredible clip. You got to find it. We've showed it a few times,
Erica Kirk is gonna
but
sue you.
it's so Israel. It's incredible. Timothy writes, the effort to discredit you, Candace, for noticing so much is revealing.
Slander.
Any logical person without an agenda
You gotta
thinks
sue you.
and says the same things that you do. It just makes too much sense, and they are downright evil. Yeah, and the psychology of it is just painstaking, right? It's like if you care, you like porn. If you care, you just want clicks. If you
We'll sue
care,
you
like
as well.
trying to make us dirty. It's just nonsense. It's like I said, we have to steel ourselves against their psychology. These are like military psychological operations. It's why they need bots on the internet, which they're doing, as we learned.
Oh, she has
They're
bots in her
buying so
chat.
many bots on the internet. It's a stake that Israel is taking. It's why they want TikTok, because they want you to feel that pressure that Charlie felt.
I said
Like
TPE
everyone thinks this
USA is
but
gonna
you,
sue
so you
you.
feel
Stop calling
isolated.
that company.
The goal of that is isolation. It's a psychological component. You are isolated in your opinion, so
You have
stop saying
bots
that
in your
opinion.
chat.
You know, do what the rest of everybody does. Everybody here loves Israel. It's just you that doesn't love it. So something's wrong with you. It's the exact same thing here.
You're
Nuh-uh.
gaslighting.
Let me tell you something right now. We are the majority. It is so obvious to me.
No, you're
Melanie
not.
writes in conclusion, Candace, this is bigger. Oh, actually, you already wrote that. This is bigger than what the world thinks. And I absolutely believe that. You guys, if you would like to support our continued work, I tell you, you're going to love this one. I am very proud of this. Tag me if you get this book. It makes me very excited. You can go to makehimasandwich.com to buy
You're
a
less
copy of
than
the book. I think I should
2%.
probably do some signed ones too. I'll do that before Christmas. Savannah, if you want to make a note for that. makehimasandwich.com to read this book on
Speaking of
feminism,
which.
which I think is a very important component of this, and learning the origins of the feminist movement, which of course had nothing to do with wanting to support women. Actually, it was a government initiative sponsored by the children of Bolsheviks, obviously. And beyond that, you can head to CandaceOwens.com, buy yourself some gear, some CIA gear. We don't know, but we do know, and we have restocked our Standus cups to that effect. So thank you guys so much for all the support. I am remarkably clear-minded on this. I'm actually very positive on this. My dreams have been positive, and I know that we are
dreams sound
we're
demonic.
inching ever closer to learning the truth about what
And a
happened.
dead
And
person
it is going
coming to you in your
when
vision.
the world learns the truth, it is going to have a drastic effect
The world learns
upon
real
humanity.
truth.
So Charlie did not
Produce your
die
evidence.
in vain. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, hold on. Let me go back to, I think I missed the beginning.
Was because
I don't
there is
think I
not
missed a
a
whole lot.
single member of the Trump family that could have upset me more with his commentary than Donald Trump Jr. Welcome back to Candace. But he was so gifted that, of course, doctors immediately wanted to put him on ADHD
Yeah, this
medicine
is something else.
because, well, why is he so hyperactive? Something's wrong with him. Let's drug him. And thankfully, Charlie's parents said, absolutely not. You're not drugging our son. He is actually, in fact, gifted. And they instead opted to send him to a school for the gifted. That's my memory. Charlie told me that story multiple times.
Okay, but did he tell anyone else? Oh, let me ask you all. Anyone that watched or followed Charlie Kirk, Did you all ever hear him say anything about being on ADHD or anything like this? That sounds like a personal story. Why is she sharing that? Correct me if I'm wrong here. Has he ever spoken about that himself? Because this is crazy. Who is she to sit here and to share information like that? I never heard of that. Thank you. Has anyone else who followed Charlie Kirk? I mean, even if you didn't watch him every day, did he ever say anything about this? About anything regarding ADHD medications or any of that? She's already violated HIPAA. So I'm gonna call it out flat out. She has violated HIPAA just to try to prove a point. Days of can't in this lies. I know she twists things. It doesn't seem like something that he would just I've never heard this about him. And if he shared it with her, maybe it was supposed to remain between him and her. Why is she putting this out there? Thank you, Laura. Make sure you guys check out the description for Dr. Squatch products. If this helper can get her sponsorships all over the place, I'll tell you all once about Dr. Squatch products. Soap, deodorant, shaving cream, toothpaste, all of the toiletries that you need to feel good, smell good, feel fresh and clean. Dr. Squatch, get you some soap. All right. So she's back to the Jews being at fault. You never following him. She's exploiting all of his personal life. It's so crazy. She's talking about him growing up and something that his parents probably haven't even said. And this is unreal. She's sharing it. His wife is not even saying this stuff. That's what's so crazy about this. Erica Kirk is not out here saying all the things that Candace is saying about this. Like, Erica Kirk is not even doing any of this. But Candace is somehow. Like, for reasons. You can't make this up. I'm trying to get this green screen together. Sorry. You can't make this stuff up. So she's sharing personal information. This is insane. Oh, Candace. You done already effed up, girl.
And I thought about that. This has just been in my mind lately, living in my mind that story multiple times. And I thought about that. This has just been in my mind lately, living in my mind, because I truly
Did she repeat
believe
herself?
that he was probably assigned like life handlers from that moment on. Something probably
Who?
takes place. If you go to a little X-Men school and they're seeing how smart you are, or you're a part of some program. I was in Extraordinary Learners as a kid, but I think Charlie was in like a special X-Men school. They probably are monitoring those kids. I actually believe that the reason that we have standardized tests is so that the government can track who
can't
is
make this up.
performing above the standard, right? Who's performing above the average slave? We better keep an eye on that one. Just my suspicion, my own personal conspiracy theory.
What
I think
handler?
when my kids are old enough to do standardized tests, because even when you homeschool, you have to do standardized tests. I'm going to be like, just get like a 70%. We don't want any government tracker sent on us. Anyways.
Oh my God. You stop it. Stop it. You don't say that as a parent. You want your child to exceed. You want them to be gifted. You want them to be talented. What handlers? She said in her show yesterday she has handlers. Candace never even said who the hell these handlers are. And now she's saying she's going to tell her kids, just get a 70, because it's a D. 70 is not passing, Candace. A 70 is a D. It's not even a passing grade. Why would you want them to not get an A? Strive for the best. Get a 100. What? She's dumbing her kids down is what I'm hearing. You can't make this stuff up.
I want to jump back into the Turning Point USA story and tell you guys something that's been bothering me.
Unreal.
About Rob McCoy. Stick on him. Other than the fact that he lies and he proclaims to be a pastor, is the fact that less than 36 hours after Charlie died, less than 36 hours, exact time at 10:34 p.m. Eastern on September 11th,
Candace, you're
the
gross.
Turning Point USA Wikipedia received a rather interesting update. Pastor Rob McCoy, who had previously never been featured on their Wikipedia page, somehow got his own heading. Just amazing. Let's check out that fresh
He was
entry.
Charlie Kirk's
now.
pastor.
It reads, Rob McCoy and Charlie Kirk founded Turning Point USA Faith, TPUS Faith, together. Along with being a Pentecostal pastor in the Calvary Chapel Association, McCoy is the co-chairman of TPUS Faith. Aligned with the Christian right, McCoy inspired Kirk to amalgamate Christianity and social conservatism during the COVID-19 pandemic. McCoy,
Wouldn't that be true? If she's pulling up this information, isn't she reading it because she's basing her opinion off of it? If that's true, then it's true. Why? It's like every little thing now. She expects people to prove to her something. The arrogance and her ego in this is disgusting. This cult of personality is sick. And you can see in her chat over here. They're sick. It's a cult of personality. They're taking every little thing and she's turning it into some theory where she's making people feel like they owe her a response. They need to stop responding to her. Candace has already lost her mind. Stop responding to her, Turning Point USA and others. Don't respond to her. Leave her hanging out there. Because at some point, the more she talks, the less they respond. She doesn't have anything to feed off of. So guess what's going to happen? Her content is going to go down because it's like she's running out of ideas or something. There's so much that she can speak on right now. How about starting with your lawsuit with the Macrons, Candace? And I mean going on your the court docket and reading the facts of the case. Not you making up nonsense that's causing them to file amended complaints. Why are you and your attorney asking for an extension? You can't make
was
this
known
up.
for speaking out against prohibitions on the holding of in-person church services. Now, the hardest part of being me is that I came up through Turning Point USA, so I just know these lies so quickly. Okay,
What?
No, Rob McCoy was not the person who inspired Turning Point USA Faith. Actually, if anybody could be credited with that, that was like way back in the day at Liberty University. Actually, those pastors, those conversations, I was there for that. We should do like a faith division, whatever it is.
She's
He didn't
jealous.
inspire it. And what's so interesting about that entry is that when you then click it, this is how you know this is absurd. When you click
she wants to get credit for it. No, Candace, you're talking about dead people visiting you in visions. No, ma'am, that's demonic. Emberg said, "Wait, isn't her dismissal request due tomorrow?" Yeah, her response was due, yes, tomorrow. But her attorney filed an extension yesterday. It was filed on the 24th and it was docketed yesterday. And so now they're asking for additional time to add in 3,000 more words to their brief just to respond to the amended complaint. It is so crazy. But yet, she won't speak on that. She won't even tell people why she even went down the route of filing a motion to dismiss. When she said on Tucker Carlson, she didn't want the case dismissed at all. She wants to get to the discovery phase. Then you don't file a motion to dismiss. You just file a response. She could have done that. But no, they don't. They're sitting here talking about the court has no jurisdiction. That's not it. I don't care what Candace says is what she does or doesn't do that people need to pay attention to. Is what she says, it's what she does and what she does not do and what she's leaving out. You think she's going to tell her cult followers, I'm planning on seeking a dismissal for the Macron lawsuit. And even if she did at this point, they probably wouldn't even care because they don't have a brain. They don't read. They don't think for themselves. They wouldn't challenge her on it. They won't ask her questions like, why are you doing that? Didn't you say you didn't want the case to be dismissed? Didn't you say there was evidence and proof to show that she's a man? They would ask that. and she will not answer them. She will ignore it, just like the appeal she lost in the High Court of Australia. Candace, how much money you owe the government again for court costs? Okay, don't let me find out.
Actual notations that are there. When it says he's the co-founder, what are you talking about? Since when is he the co-founder? And also says that he was the chairman. When you click it, that article, which they pretend is a note, hit the 54, Skylar, not 55, okay? That's from November 24th, 2024. That's the justification for saying he was a founder. Nowhere in that article does it say that he's a founder or the chairman. Nowhere. They just put a fake article, a real article that never said this. And they're like, oh, now it's sourced. It's here forever because nobody ever does their homework.
Oh no, just like she
Wikipedia,
takes things and
so you can't
twists
question
it up.
this, obviously. And then you can see the second citations that are used. The dates of them, September 10th, September 2025. So it's brand spanking new, you guys. Still has tags on it. Less than 36 hours later. Now, you might be thinking, trying to justify that, as I was. You might be rationally wondering, well, look, there was a lot.
Pause. I got to show you all the court docket. We got to go over this just real quick, and then we'll get back to the video. Because, Candace, I told you I'm going to stay on top of you about this case. I'm thorough. So this is the court docket. All right. I'm going to make sure you guys, every time I pull it up, I'm going to show you all the case ID number. And there's a Nancy 25, C as in Candace, -07-194. Defamation. You guys see Emmanuel Macron versus Candace Owens. Because, Candace, we don't have a reason to make up things in this reality here on Earth. This is the court docket activity here. So let's see. Let's go down. The last update was them requesting on October 24th. Here was the letter docketed October 28th to the judge requesting an extension of 3,000 additional words for the defendant's opening brief in support of their motion to dismiss for the plaintiff's first amended complaint. So the amended complaint lawsuit they filed in, because Candace won't shut the hell up and take her own advice and stop lying. They had to add on her doubling down basically on the lie of this woman being born a man. And so they filed an amended complaint that gave the defendants the opportunity to file a response to it, to which she's utilizing that response in the form of a motion to dismiss. And so there is, based on the way it has to be filed, there's a brief that is supposed to be filed to support the actual motion. They want to add on 3,000 words to the brief. So this was on October 28th that this was docketed. Okay, so now we have, as of October 27th, a letter for judicial review by Michael Farnan. Farnan is the attorney for the Macrons. So, letter for judicial review, date docketed October 29th. That's today. Letter to the Honorable Sheldon K. Rennie from Michael J. Farnan regarding response to defendant's request to increase word limits. The response was accepted. So he filed a response to their request for an extension that was docketed today. All right. And then on October 28th, a letter for judicial review sent in from the defense. So, letter for judicial review, date docketed October 29th, docketed today. Letter from Chad Chandler, which is Candace's attorney. Letter to the Honorable Sheldon R. Rennie from Chandler, dated October 28th, withdrawing extension request for additional word limit in opening brief. So her attorneys have withdrawn the request for an extension to increase the brief by 3,000 words. So apparently the Macron's attorney is listening to my videos because they filed the letter or response basically to that request. And I'm sure they said, How do you wait 2 days before the actual motion with the opening brief, with the brief to support the motion, is due? It's all due October 30th. Why did you wait 2 days beforehand, or 6 days beforehand, when it was actually filed? When it being filed might not be the same day as docketed, because in order for it to be docketed, it has to be filed and stamped by the clerk of the court. So you waited until October 24th to file a request with a proposed order for an extension, when this was due on October 30th. Up here, you all agreed that you have your response, your motion to dismiss, submitted to this court by October 30th. You wait till October 24th to place this request in with a proposed order for an extension. Who does that? That's so unprofessional. It's like Candace's attorneys need to get their shit together. First, they're trying to get it dismissed on the grounds of jurisdiction. And then when there's, I went over a case where her last lawsuit she filed against USA Today was filed in the Superior Court of the state of Delaware, because her LLC, her Candace Owens LLC, is registered there. It's like now they're asking for additional time to come up with, to add on 3,000 words for their next motion to dismiss. It's like they're fishing here. They're throwing spaghetti at the wall. And you wait 6 days before it's due to even put in a request for an extension. Of course, if I were the Macron's attorney, I would tell the court to deny that request. Why would they wait this late, 6 days beforehand, to do this? They're stalling. And we don't have time to keep stalling with them. They're playing games. They're stalling. She doesn't want to go through this court battle because she doesn't understand how court works. She's too busy out here doubling down as usual. Produce zero evidence about the tax statement being in someone else's name. Where is a copy of the tax documents, Candace Owens? Where's a copy of the tax documents? She's going on, she picks and chooses articles she wants to use to try to prove her point. But yet she reads something from Wikipedia and all of a sudden it's a lie. This is how Candace conducts herself. She doesn't take any of this seriously. So they filed the response regarding the defendant's request to increase the word limit. Their response was accepted. And then next thing you know, they're withdrawing. Candace's attorney withdrew the request for the extension of the additional word limit. And then, of course, there is a notice here, docketed today, copy of rejection notice regarding improper filing, issued on October 24th. So, improper filing. So that must have been their request for the extension that was improperly filed, because this was done October 24th. So Candace attorneys improperly filed. They improperly filed their extension request. I told y'all her attorneys are dumb. If I were the Macron's attorneys, I would literally ask the judge to sanction her attorneys. They should know better than this. Y'all see this here. Notice, date docketed October 29th. This is the date that this notice has been docketed today. Copy of rejection notice, meaning that there's going to be an order or something showing that the request, it has to be this request from October 24th. That's what was sent here. Letter for judicial review, proposed order. Yeah, that was done on October 24th. So their request for an extension was rejected. So when it goes through that docketing process, when it's filed and stamped by the clerk of the court, the clerk has to look at it to make sure that the filing is proper according to court rule. Does that make sense? So if there's a request, depending on what you're asking for, there's certain pleadings that you have to use in order to properly file that request to the court, whether it be through a motion or a petition. There's certain pleadings and certain formatting it has to be done in too. So their request issued on October 24th. That's the only thing here that was even filed on October 24th. That's Candace's attorney's request to extend for an extension to add on 3,000 additional words for their brief. That's the only thing here with that date. And that was rejected by the court due to improper filing. So that might explain why. That's more than, enough to show this is probably why he withdrew the request. They withdrew it because it was rejected due to improper filing. Do you all see how stupid this case is getting? Candace, you and your attorney suck. Y'all suck. You expect someone that's like pro se to do something improper with filing? Not two attorneys. That Candace has two attorneys. Neither one of them could figure out how to file this properly. Her attorneys are Catherine Mowry, Chad Chandler, Blake Rohrabacher, Robersher. These are three attorneys. Attorney. Look at this. Attorney. And they couldn't file their request for an extension properly. It was rejected. You can't make this up. What you get, Candace? You clown. See, stop messing with people, Candace. Stop messing with people. You're gonna lose this lawsuit. You can't even file this stuff properly. Improper filing. Get out of here. So, of course, that's why her attorney withdrew the request for extension. They waited till the last minute. They wait 6 days before it's due. Turn that stuff in tomorrow. Why do you need an extension to add on 3,000 words? Just don't add 3,000 words. Get out of here. Kick rocks. They're stalling with this case. I'm telling you all. They're trying to do whatever they can to stall because they know the moment Brigitte Macron shows up with scientific evidence, Candace is done for. Because I highly doubt that this will be dismissed because of lack of jurisdiction. Candace has her LLC registered in the state of Delaware. Bottom line. And it's been proven already. That's not something that people have to make up. It's in another court filing. They also have the updated information to show her registration is still valid in the state of Delaware. So why lie about that? Why even make that argument? It's such a dumb argument. It's so stupid. Then they talking about, the Macrons are doing libel tourism. Man, please. Y'all, oh my God, you can't make this stuff up. All right, that was the case status. So they're going to have to turn it in tomorrow. You're absolutely right. They're going to have to turn that in tomorrow. They're trying to make the court into a circus show because they know they're going to lose. They know they're going to lose. Why is she trying to get it dismissed? Me too. No, I would love to know why she's trying to dismiss the lawsuit. She needs to get off Charlie and let his family and friends grieve. Exactly. She's too busy trying to obsess over Charlie Kirk. She doesn't care about this lawsuit. She doesn't care. Her attorneys don't care either. You filed this extension on October 24th, and it was improperly filed. And there are three attorneys. There are three of you that went to law school. None of them seem to be first year, attorneys here. It's not the first year practicing law. And you all waited 6 days before your response was due. And you want the petitioner to just keep waiting for you to do something? No. It was improperly filed. It was rejected. So that left them with no choice but to withdraw the extension request. They had already agreed. Let me see, go back up here. They got already agreed in an order here. Y'all see this order? Back on October 7th. Here's the order date docketed October 8th. Signed by Judge Renning. So ordered. Stipulation and proposed order governing deadline to respond to the amended complaint October 30th. This was in the order for them to have their response to the amended complaint submitted to the court by October 30th. That is tomorrow. And these thunkheads wait all the way to October 24th. From October 8th to October 24th is 16 days, 16 calendar days. They waited 16 calendar days to try to file a request for an extension, and it turns out it was improperly filed. Stop playing with the courts. Courts do not bend to your will, girl. Your attorney should know better. This is absolute buffoonery. Stop playing around with it. Proceed with the case. I would, man, you can't help if I were Macron's attorney, I would say no. I would, Your Honor, you're going to have to reject this. We're not going to keep waiting for them. They're playing this back and forth game. They want to say the court doesn't have jurisdiction. Then they want to add on 3,000 words. Why? To say the same thing. This court has no jurisdiction. You don't need to have an extension to say the same thing you said before. If you're saying to the court, this court lacks jurisdiction, you don't need, even with an amended complaint, your response is still the same. This court lacks jurisdiction. Why do you need 3,000 more words to say the same thing? It makes no sense. It doesn't matter what they say in it. If you're telling the court you lack jurisdiction in the first place, don't need to add anything extra to that. But that's so great. This is how I know, you all, that Candace Owens knows that she's done for. That's why she keeps talking about, oh, they're trying to bankrupt me. I'm so sick of them. How about you learn how to shut up, Candace? And then you wouldn't have to go through this. We have anti-defamation laws for a reason, girl. You're playing around with the courts and you're wasting the court's time. They're going to win. Clearly. All right, let's get back to it, y'all.
A lot of interest in Turning Point USA following this assassination. Maybe there wasn't any mention of Turning Point Faith at all.
They're going to win.
And maybe what they did was afterwards, Wikipedia editors went in there and wanted to just break apart every part and speak about Turning Point USA and dedicate more thorough research to the various projects that Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk were working on. So they included a new tab about Turning Point Faith.
Exactly.
If you're wondering that,
money either way.
That's fair. But the answer to that musing is no. Actually, there already was a long-standing section on the Wikipedia website regarding Turning Point Faith on Wikipedia. In fact, that section is still available if you just scroll down. And it kind of conflicts with the new section that was added 36 hours later. It makes it clear that Charlie Kirk founded TPUSA Faith alone. Here it is in 2021. Charlie Kirk founded TPUSA Faith, an organization that says it is dedicated to...
Candace, you're an idiot. Do you know that anyone can add or edit information to Wikipedia? Anybody can update Wikipedia, right? What's going on, Francisca? I'm sorry I didn't say hello. What's going on, Manny? Shout out to my mods. Saint and Laura. Shout out to all of my mods, all the supporters, all of you guys that are tuning in, even the trolls. Jesus loves the trolls as well. And shout out to all of you for tuning in. Thank you so much. 42 people watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Hit that like button, please. Thank you, Diane. Yeah, very much so. Okay. So if anyone, thank you so much for letting me confirming that with me. So if anyone can update Wikipedia, Candace, then why are you shocked to see something like that? Why is that your source is my question. Why is Wikipedia your go-to source right now? I rarely use Wikipedia, and if I do, it's going to be at least two other solid websites or references that I use to accompany whatever I see on Wikipedia, because good journalists know not to just solely trust Wikipedia. Any good journalist knows that.
to recruit pastors and other church leaders to be active in local and national political
Why is this a
issues.
problem? I
The
don't understand why you make this a
organization
problem.
had found a guy that could help clean up the Wikipedia pages, right? There are people that do this full time and they're paid by bigger organizations to clean up their Wikipedia pages, because I remember, and I still have the messages when
Okay.
we first had our pages, which were made by Wikipedia editors, and they were horrific. They said terrible things about us. It was like, Candace is a racist, white nationalist, a crazy person who hates BLM and she hates women, you know, the whole gamut that you're getting right now about me.
Yeah, no, Candace, you're just crazy, and you're sitting here talking to someone that is deceased in your vision while you obsess over him as if you married him. He's not your husband. He is not your husband. What is the deal? Is she running out of things to talk about at this point? You can't make this up.
And we were horrified when we looked at our Wikipedia pages.
She's
and then
bored.
some time passed, and someone within the organization had found
Exactly.
a person who could clean up our Wikipedia pages. Charlie told me, and I cannot remember
And
who
she
that
does hate
individual
herself.
was. It'll come to me. It will actually
Doesn't
come to me.
matter. We all, it's
But,
a common knowledge.
I'm just interested. Do you guys think that some random person got inspired to include a whole heading of
You
Rob
can't make this
McCoy
up.
36 hours later? What do you guys think? I don't even think they had even yet announced that Erica Kirk was the chairman and the CEO 36 hours later. Like, that seems that early. Less than 36 hours, I should say, to be very clear. Less than 36 hours later. I don't even think Charlie's body had returned back to Arizona. And yet somebody was dedicated to Rob McCoy
Ooh, Erica
lying
Kirk is gonna
and
sue her.
claiming, this person who typed this, that he was the founder, the co-founder, Charlie's pastor. No, he wasn't.
Then she keeps
Founder of TPUS
disrespecting.
Faith. The
You can't tell me as a Christian. And there are some shady pastors out here. I'm not saying all of them are good. I'm not saying all of them are perfect, or no one's perfect. I'm not even saying that all of them deserve to be pastors. But there are some who are true men of God that have been called to minister. And if Charlie Kirk trusted this man, Rob McCoy, as his pastor, why is she disrespecting him? Because she didn't do this before he died. You didn't hear Candace Owens going around talking about Charlie Kirk's pastor when Charlie Kirk was alive. I don't even think she would have the spine to disrespect his pastor if he were alive, because she knows that Charlie Kirk would chew her out over his pastor. So why is she doing this? She wouldn't do it if he were alive. She wouldn't. This is very cowardly of you, Candace. And on top of everything, if he be the man of God that he is, God is going to get you. The Bible is clear. It states, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. So if this man is anointed in any way, if God has blessed him and anointed him and called him to be a minister and to serve in this capacity, as a pastor that he serves in, Candace, you got it coming. And that is from God. And that is what the word of God states. That's a warning message for us to not mess with those that God has anointed, that God considers to be a prophet, to be his voice piece that speaks and declares the truth on his behalf here on earth. God said they're not for play, girl. So, I mean, how can anyone hear this and say, yeah, this is cool for you to sit here and attack his pastor now? And he's not here to defend it. Candace, you're a coward and a clown.
inspiration behind TPUS Faith. No, he wasn't. He was.
You can't make this up.
One of the advisors put on the board of advisory for TPUSA Faith. I know that he gets paid by TPUS Faith, upcoming pastor summits where they're going to
Woo,
teach other
child.
Christian Zionist pastors
She is
how to
so
use the Bible as a shield for their political
lost.
ideas. You know, it says right here in the Bible, unfollow Tucker Carlson. There's no other way that we can understand Paul's letter to the Corinthians other than to unfollow Tucker Carlson. That's the vibe I'm getting, the direction that Turning Point was going into. And Rob McCoy was definitively going to benefit financially from that.
How?
But founder? Since when? Anyways, now let's turn our attention to other allies. President Donald Trump. Of course, we have to arrive here because Charlie really loved Donald J. Trump. Okay.
She's attacking everyone that Charlie Kirk loved and respected. She's attacking the pastor. She's attacking Trump. She's attacking all of Israel, including the prime minister. She's attacking Turning Point USA. She's attacking his friends, his counselors, his spiritual leaders, his mentors. I mean, is she going to go after his parents? Is there no boundary here? She's already insinuated Erica Kirk by saying he had no one in his life. No one, everyone betrayed him and gave no exceptions to that. She is literally eroding and tearing down any and every good thing that he stood for or represented single-handedly. Her and the devil and all of those cult members in that chat, egging her on to do this nonsense. Judgment Day is going to be a rude awakening for her.
Okay? He loved him. It is unreal going through my messages to really consider how much he dedicated his entire life to him.
I know.
I mean,
Joanna, she's probably going to go there.
Sleepless nights,
Go after
wanting
his
to
parents at some
ensure
point.
that he got elected, reelected, midterm elections, hitting the ground, wearing a MAGA hat. We were everywhere. I was on fire for Trump too. I really believed in Trump. I really believed that if people
I
could
didn't know
wake
that,
up
Sarah.
to how quickly the media turned on him, that it could be, you know, this conduit to
I
Black
had no
Americans
idea.
understanding that we're being manipulated. Because my focus was all about Black America, right? And what I can say is that from the very moment that we learned
That's
the
a good
news
question.
that Charlie Kirk had passed, I knew spiritually that
She has some tokens. Man.
we were never going to get the full story from officials, right? Not from officials. I can't explain it. I felt that way. And then when Trump rushed to tweet out that, or social Truth Social,
She does,
out that
Rosetta.
photo,
She needs
an
to go
AI
to
photo of him
mental
and
facility.
Charlie with the Star of David in the background. I just knew. I knew the investigation into
Didn't they take
who
a photo?
murdered Charlie Kirk was officially over, right? The officials want to
Candace, you have zero evidence to prove anything else. You won't even produce the video of the alleged shooter walking with a woman, you know, because somebody called in a tip to you and told you they were called to give you that tip, but never produced the actual full video footage. Where's that footage at, Candace? Who gave you that medical file and that print screenshot of that EMR from that hospital? You violated HIPAA privacy laws. This can't be real. So if you can't even say where you're getting this information from, and it's a violation of federal law, I mean, why are you upset over a photo? That's nothing compared to you violating HIPAA privacy laws to get medical information on him. You were never, ever given the authority to get that information. He didn't sign any consent forms or anything giving any hospital permission to send you anything. So whoever sent that stuff to her, they better be looking for another job because they're going to get fired. They're probably going to get hit with a charge or two because why would you do that? Why would you risk breaking the law to do that? Putting someone's medical health information out there. You knew Candace was going to put it on her show. Unbelievable.
Nothing to do with it because there was nobody more psychotically insistent that people stop asking questions
Exactly.
about Charlie's death immediately. I mean, early hours, right? More than the people that are dedicated to the Israel lobby, right? These individuals, if you go back, people that are pro-Israel for whatever reason, were like, do not look any further into this death. In fact, I'll challenge you. Do me a favor. Find me one,
No.
just one real life pro-Israel individual who is expressing that they don't believe that Charlie Kirk was killed by Tyler Robinson. The evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson didn't act alone, that Tyler Robinson didn't fire the shot.
What evidence? What evidence? What evidence? Where is it? Is there a video? Is there conversations he had with other people? Tangible evidence that we can see and read and hear for ourselves. Is there a recorded call of him making arrangements with others, co-conspirators? What evidence do you have that could be used in a court of law? I don't care about your dumb conspiracy theories. What evidence do you have that would be accepted and admitted into a murder trial by a judge and jury? That's it. It's that simple, Candace. You're making assumptions and you're repeating it because your code base don't read anything. They don't research. They're not challenging you. They're not asking you questions or mandating that you produce tangible evidence that can be used in a court of law. Because none of that dumb shit you're saying can be used in a court of law. No jury would buy that. If anything, it would actually be counterproductive and counteractive to what the case is. I can't even say this is reasonable doubt. Just doubt. And a bunch of nonsense. It's reasonable doubt when you read the indictment. And then when you're expecting certain things to be stated, like at some point, the weapon showing up in a camera on the roof, or how the weapon was actually placed on the roof. That's reasonable. Her sitting here talking about everybody's guilty and the cameraman and all of Israel, the prime minister, the United States military, all the armed forces of our U.S. military have something to do with this. And you can't say how with any piece of evidence. You can't even give the correct timing on a flight log because you don't know how planes work or that they have black boxes that monitor all of the diagnostics in the plane as it's functioning in the air, or that UTC is not Utah time. You can't even make this stuff up. The things that she has said has been completely absurd and asinine. Candace, this is why people aren't taking you seriously. You can't force people to think what you're thinking and saying what you're saying. You just can't. You're trying to inflict your thoughts and your nonsense on people, affecting their free will. You don't even challenge your audience to read and research information. But you want somebody to find you someone, so you're asking them to go out and cyber harass somebody. Got it.
Tyler Robinson didn't use a 30-06.
Oh my God.
Find me just one person with a platform who's pro-Israel and says, I want this investigation into his death to continue. It's a bit weird, right?
Yes, they can.
Dogs, very silent.
That's a good question. Yes, they can. They can issue a cease and desist letter. Actually, their attorney or the attorney that represents Turning Point USA, they can issue Candace Owens a cease and desist letter because of what she's doing now is just being defamatory, and it's malicious slander at that, because she's insinuating that Turning Point USA was involved in the murder of their own CEO. That is very malicious when you're insinuating or accusing, someone of being involved in some criminal activity. Murder, to be exact. And she's not saying it's my opinion. I know they have something to do with it. What do you, no one, how do you know this? What are you talking about? Like, she's gone from just stating things in her opinion based on this set of information that I have here that people can see and research. Nope. Because they won't answer my questions, and, it doesn't make sense. I know they're involved. Once you've gotten a street, now once they named a boulevard after you, they've killed you. That's beyond defamatory. It's malicious slander. And she refuses to correct the record, just like with the Macrons. So yes, they can hit her with a cease and desist letter if they want an order. An order comes from a government agency or the court. So they would have to take her to court to get an order. But if they do that, they might as well file a lawsuit for defamation, which I hope they do. Turning Point, Erica Kirk, all of them, they all need to sue her. Josh Hammer, all the people that have been subjected to death threats, all of them need to sue her ass. All of them need to sue her and be done with it. That'll do it. So that's why the Macrons are suing her. They tried to send her information to get her to correct this. They did issue her a cease and desist and a demand letter for her to make the corrections, and, here's the evidence. But she ignored it all. So now they filed the lawsuit against her little thunkhead ass, and she's still doubling down. So would the letter do any good is the better question. And I highly doubt it. So if anything, at this point, I wouldn't even, they can do it. I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying they can. But if I had to give them a suggestion, I would suggest they go ahead and just file the defamation lawsuit and be done with it. And then ask the judge for a gag order. And then, yeah, you go ahead and violate it if you want to. And if she violates a gag order, they can have her asses held in contempt and she could go to jail. Candace, you're not the smartest light bulb in the batch. You're not the brightest bulb in the batch, girl. She has no regard for the law. And that's the problem. No regard for the rule of law. None. She doesn't care.
Right now, very, very silent. And there's like a stake on the ground. They're not moving.
Yeah, hit that
It's
like
very
button
weird.
for me. More
They
people should
do.
sue her. Yep.
All of them, however, I will say, want him to be honored, right?
Exactly.
Mostly by your money. They want you to
What
give
are tax
Turning Point USA.
records?
That's the best way, by the way, that you can honor him.
Exactly.
Open up your
MB.
pocketbooks. They don't have enough money there, right? Clearing like $100 million a year. They don't have enough. Open up your pockets, keep his show
I have
going,
no
and
idea,
don't
Alicia.
ask questions is obviously the clearest way
You're welcome,
that we
Joanna.
can honor Charlie Kirk. They want him lionized, and they did try to lionize
Yes,
him
she is.
immediately as the most Judeo-Christian goy ever, right? He was basically, why not just put him in a yarmulke in some of these AI photos? That would make more sense. The direction, I mean, so instant. It's like just like trying to establish the legacy, right? And keeping with that, we want this to be honorific, not actually trying to solve what happened here. For Charlie's birthday, President Trump signed.
The FBI is trying to solve what happened, along with Utah prosecutor, the state of Utah prosecutor. It's called a federal investigation, Candace. There's a reason why they don't release all of the exhibits and the evidence related to it. They don't want to give the defense a leg up. And whatever they do exchange with them in discovery should be kept confidential in order to ensure a fair and impartial hearing. Because if there is evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it and he's found guilty, you want that to stick. You don't want him to have a reason to appeal it. You're being an idiot, Candace.
To law or established rather a holiday. And he decided that October 14th, which is Charlie Kirk's birthday, would be a national day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk. Okay? And I'm going to tell you how I
Nothing
feel
wrong
about
with that.
Truly Zionists that infiltrated my book club, you did not need to pay the $9.99 to find out how I feel about this. I don't know why people think I'm hiding how I feel. It's very weird. Like, when did people go, oh,
We
have
wish
to
you would, girl.
try to listen in to hear what she really thinks? I'll tell you what I really think. I think it's crap. Okay? What I said
That
in
he
my
got
book
a
club
day of
holds.
remembrance.
It's never good when the feds are lining up to give you a holiday. It's not good. You know, Martin Luther King vibes. Martin Luther King Jr. I think maybe the feds definitely killed Martin Luther King Jr. But in school, we get to learn about him. He's got this whole holiday. Oh, he was such a great, I loved that I have a dream speech. Oh, the feds. Oh, man, you're good. You were so great. It's unfortunate that we had to murder you. I don't like it because the best way to honor Charlie Kirk is very obvious. Figure out who killed him.
Okay, but you're saying the feds, then you said all of Israel. Now you're saying Trump. Now you're saying, this is bees or something. Then you're insinuating, all of Turning Point USA. Erica Kirk. You have yet to just say her name and his parents' name flat out. Once we get there, the U.S. military. Don't forget them. Once she gets to a point where the parents start to come up a lot more, you already know where she's going with that. And I'm going to tell you right now, these people, these bots, they're going to catch it. Candace is going to catch it if she starts to insinuate his parents. Because you haven't heard a peep out of them. They're grieving and mourning the loss of their son. And if she goes there with his mother, I'm going to tell you right now, Candace is going to catch it from me. And I never have to meet Charlie Kirk's mother. Because I'm a mother. Any parent would feel disgusted by the insinuation of some jackass on YouTube accusing them of being involved in their son's murder. So when she's saying everybody betrayed him and she doesn't exclude the parents, she's including them by default. Because why are you saying everybody? He had more than just 2 or 3 people in his life. She's already insinuated Erica Kirk. And yet she said her name in this video. And it's like, why? Why even mention her at this point?
First. Let's celebrate the holiday later.
Oh, you
can't
can't
figure out who killed him first. And so I'm struck by this. I'm struck by Trump and the lack of demand, the lack of pushing on the narrative. Trump has really represented himself, at least as me, someone who voted for him twice. He represented himself as an individual who didn't trust the federal establishment. This feels like an easy layup here. Your friend, he viewed you in many ways like a father figure, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, feds, what's going on here? And I said, maybe he did, because I was in this aggrieved stage and I really didn't poke my head up until years later when I could stop crying about it every second. And I said, maybe I missed it. Maybe Trump did actually say this is crap. Maybe he did call for an investigation.
Hey, Girl, Brittany.
And we did a search on Truth Social to see how many times President Trump tweeted or Truth Socialed calling for further investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder. And there was only one tweet that we could find to that effect. And this tweet is not what I would describe as him calling for an investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder, actually. Here it is. This is the only one we could find. Why was the wonderful Turning Point under investigation by deranged Jack Smith and the corrupt and incompetent Biden administration? They tried to force Charlie and many other people and movements out of business. They weaponized the Justice Department against sleepy Joe Biden's political opponents, including me. They allowed the daughter of a judge of one of the corrupt trials against me to become the biggest fundraiser for Biden and Kamala, making millions of dollars for herself and her family. But with her father, the judge, not only refusing to recuse himself, but putting a gag order on me, not allowing any talk about their family corruption and unprecedented conflict of interest. Well, that's not going to age well.
She's only bringing this up because it says that the FBI was investigating Turning Point USA. That's it. But wouldn't this insinuate that it was for a totally different reason? When was this? September 16, 25. Wasn't this before he was shot? No, it was after. It was after. I'm sorry. How does this have anything to do with that? I don't even understand what is the purpose of this? He's talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all this other stuff. What does that have to do with this?
Well, the gag order thing, is it? Every leading legal analyst and pundit said this trial was wrong and should not have been allowed to go forward. But it did because of a corrupt judge who will hopefully pay a very big price for his illegal actions someday. Okay. Scale of 1 to 10, how much is that, do you feel, about Charlie Kirk? Like, I don't know what to think of that.
She don't even know what to say about it.
Like I said, it's pretty obvious. They want us to just look at everything and go, case closed. Don't you see? We're all united. We're standing up here. We're giving them a holiday. We're signing that. And we've got all these photographers here. The Turning Point's chief fundraiser lady here, and she's crying. So obviously she loved Charlie. Kash Patel was there. Of all the people, unbelievable to me. They're here. Kash Patel's here. So you can see we're all united. You can totally trust the FBI science now. We're ruling out corruption. That's why we don't know what Jeffrey Epstein files are talking about. Because we look, all we had to do was win against Democrats and corruption would be over.
Candace, why won't you talk about that more? Why won't you talk about the Epstein files being released more for 6 weeks and give that a mini series? Why won't you do that? There's so many other things that she could be talking about and actually bring light to that can actually initiate some level of change. Why don't you do that? Why don't you get, heavy on the Epstein reporting, and they won't have a choice but to release the Epstein files. If you focus on it for 6 weeks and do an 8-part series on it, they won't have a choice. Why don't you do that, Candace? Talk about something that will be meaningful to Americans. Because she's just throwing out names yet again, like yesterday. Kash Patel and Donald Trump and Don Jr., all these things. How do you all feel about that? Like, that's all I'm hearing at this point. Her saying a bunch of names and then these cliches. How you all feel about that? It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel good to me. So, you don't work for the FBI either, girl. But yet she's using CIA logos and mocking it. Because even if you're using the likeness of the CIA logo, the CIA could sue you and making money from it. That's the thing. It's not being used as a form of free speech and expression. No, you're making money from it, Candace, and you don't have their permission to use it. That's illegal.
Over. Are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? I'm sorry. I've realized something actually and truly. They made, in retrospect, the absolute best decision not inviting me to speak at Charlie's memorial. Kudos to whoever made that call, because I would have just been on my best Kanye. I would have jumped on stage and grabbed the mic from Susie Wiles or someone and said, "Are you kidding me? What is going on here? What is happening?" Even Trump's speech. Remember when he just kind of worked in the story about Charlie interviewing a fourth grader, and he was referring to Breland Holland. And I'm saying Holland, by the way, because that was his name when Charlie interviewed him, because Trump wasn't there, nothing to do with Trump. When Charlie went on that fourth graders podcast, his name was Breland Holland, and I was next to him. It was me and Charlie. What a weird story for Trump to just obscurely pluck out of thin air to say on stage at his memorial. He wasn't there. He had nothing to do with him. The kid had some connections and, of course, was really sweet and adorable and in fourth grade and super polite and energetic and was like, I'd love to interview you. I can't remember who the guy was who was his dad. I got him to interview with us. And all of a sudden, Trump's just saying this story on stage at Charlie's memorial as if he was there. And he wasn't. So
let me remind you, Candace Owens, you were not there at Charlie Kirk's funeral and memorial. You weren't there at all. As you put it, you were hanging out with Kanye West, and you would rather have done that than to actually have been at that memorial. You're a bad friend, Candace. You are a horrible friend. You're attacking this man's wife, his children, his family, his parents, his friends, his pastor, the president he supported and loved, Israel, the PM, Israeli prime minister. You're attacking any and everything he stood for, his company, his legacy. You're attacking it. You are a horrible person, Candace Owens. And then you have the audacity to say this man who's deceased is coming to you in a vision, when the Bible is clear on that. You unfamiliar spirit. She's very evil.
So
man.
what's going on?
Candace is very evil.
Regarding Kash Patel showing his face there, I legitimately do not know how
This
these
is
people
evil.
do it, okay? I would literally die from shame. I would pass away right immediately from shame before I would show
This
up
is
to that
crazy.
event as Kash Patel. Like, did they breed it out? Is this a new breed of human that I don't know about? Where you feel nothing, there's just nothing. It's like the Josh Hammer thing. They don't feel any sense of shame at all, and they can just go, and pretend that you're honoring. I don't understand it. I truly don't understand it because I
This is
have to be a
unbelievable.
different species from whatever that is. I would melt. I'd rather melt at the floor than show my face, knowing how badly I was dropping the ball. The whole world was dropping the ball. How do you show up to work, Kash Patel? And the answer is he shows up to work and he demands that everybody stop looking into it because he's got it under control. He's got a very small team of people at the FBI that are allowed to touch anything pertaining to the Charlie Kirk case because, this is transparency. Finally, the adults are in charge and it's going to be the most transparent administration ever, except on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff or the Charlie Kirk stuff, who was a friend of the administration. We got to be a little bit opaque on.
That's any federal investigation. His Charlie Kirk's investigation is still an open pending investigation. That is not the same as the Epstein files. That is not an open pending investigation. So asking the government to release the files on the Epstein case is very common, and we all agree it should be done. But Charlie Kirk's murder investigation is still an open federal investigation. You got to let it play out in court, you dingus. You're not even trying to use the common sense God gave a Billy Goat, Candace. You can make this stuff up.
Real headline,
Christ.
New York Times yesterday,
Butch
pertaining
Agger.
to how upset Kash Patel was when he received an inquiry
Oh my God.
from Joe Kent, Tulsi Gabbard's office. They lead the National Counterterrorism Center. Joe Kent does. And him inquiring about details into this apparently alarmed Kash Patel because Kash Patel was alarmed. He called a meeting, in fact, right? He wanted to investigate the assassination pertaining to Joe Kent. They were like, hey, maybe people overseas were involved in his murder. Maybe they were thinking, BB's saying too much. Can we just look at these files? Because it's our job, overseas terrorism. And Kash Patel was so alarmed by this, so alarmed that they would look into these files, that he held a meeting, apparently.
What evidence do they have to
what are
prove
you?
it?
This is not appropriate. It's not appropriate for you to be looking into this, okay? We don't want you knowing whether or not there was a foreign power or another entity that was involved in this.
Oh my God.
And this is the reason that Kash Patel decided to have a meeting with Susie Wiles and Joe Kent and Tulsi Gabbard and Trump officials. I think it said JD Vance was in this meeting as well, and nothing was accomplished. Because why wouldn't you, if you're the most transparent administration ever, share, get the help? Hey, we're supposed to be partners in this. Don't we all want to find out who killed Charlie Kirk? And the answer is no. We don't all want to find out who killed Charlie Kirk. I think that's apparent, right? It's pretty obvious that we do not all want to find out who murdered Charlie Kirk because they're not acting right. Nobody is acting right now. And it's stunning. We are making so many discoveries in this case, and I have to tell you guys, we're getting close.
You
Getting
close. Where's the
Very
evidence you
close,
have on the
I
other
think,
stuff?
to what actually happened on that day. And I'm getting the suspicion that there were some foreign entities involved. So Joe, Kent, Tulsi Gabbard, if you guys by any chance see this episode, keep going, right? We're just going very slowly here. Set the
Why?
bait. We're going to see who lies about what. And when we get back from this break, I'm going to tell you another.
Oh, okay. So y'all see what she's doing? She's setting up a bait. So she puts stuff out there to see who would pick up and run with it, and then wait till they respond to see what they come up with. And then she responds and say, see, I told you all they were hiding something. I told you all they were lying to us. But see, if no one picks up the damn bait and they allow this pending federal investigation to flow through the court as it should, because you don't want to tank the jury pool selection or create any issues to where the defendant now says, I don't feel like I'm going to have a fair and impartial hearing. I don't feel this trial will be fair because of the government's overreach into this, because Candace Owens keeps saying things. You could possibly end up with a delay in this where they can have the case go to a different jurisdiction, or if they even decide to go through it, end up with a hung jury. Then what? It's like she wants the defendant to get off. If you don't have irrefutable evidence to show that anyone else did it right now, then why would you stop the case from moving forward to a hearing phase so that the person who is being charged and accused of doing it, where the evidence does lie on that person, is able to at least have an impartial and fair hearing, and then let the jury decide it. If he's guilty, he's guilty. If he's innocent, then he's innocent. But it won't be because it was so much doubt invoked into this thing because of the attention that it's getting, where you can't get an impartial jury to just look at the evidence without thinking about Candace Owens' dumbass. She acts as if someone owes her something, and they don't. They just don't, Candace.
Stunning turning point lie.
Stop taking her dumb
You're going to
bait.
start feeling some type of way about the people who are all apparently mourning him. And the best way to mourn, of course, is to lie. We'll be right back after a quick break. All right, you
Okay.
guys, I've been talking a lot about Riverbend.
I think that's where I started off with this. And she goes into the interview with Don Jr. I think something he was being interviewed that we did catch in the beginning. But yeah, this is, it's just a damn shame. It really is. The fact that she refuses just to look up information on how information evidence is handled during an open federal investigation. I mean, it's a simple Google search. So there's a reason why it remains under wraps. It keeps the jury from being tainted, and it ensures that the defendant and the prosecutor are both able to have a fair and impartial hearing. And after that, once it's decided on, then you can have, like with the Epstein files, you can have a release to the public. But it has to, at least has to get through a trial hearing. So I just, here's some information when it comes to federal rules of criminal procedures, discovery and inspection. And this is relating to disclosure of information. You guys can see here that the information is typically exchanged between the parties. So the prosecutor and defense have an obligation to exchange discovery for the purposes of having a fair and impartial hearing for the trial. They're not obligated just to release everything to the public. And I'm going to copy and paste the link here. You guys, there are court rules, there are federal laws on this. This is a simple Google search for her. And she won't even do that. Like information she could look at on the DOJ. She has an attorney. She has 3 attorneys. She could ask them, why do you think, I mean, can you explain to me why they're not releasing information? Yeah, no, they don't have to right now. It's that simple. So the release of information is not typically done before a jury, the trial hearing. It's just not. And it's not until the case has concluded where it would be, available to the public. And even if that happens, what if, the judge decides either party requests for certain documents to be redacted, certain information to remain confidential because they don't want to be subjected to candy asses out here cyber harassing and cyber bullying people. You never know. But it doesn't, as you can see, it doesn't help to have your 5 million plus cult followers being thrown red meat like that, knowing that she has herself doxed people, has subjected people to being harassed and bullied, and now violated HIPAA privacy laws. She has no care or concern about any legal restrictions whatsoever. And she thinks she can do whatever she want to do while she stalls with a civil procedure, a defamation lawsuit with the Macrons. That goes to show that she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And you guys can read this information here. Information subject to disclosure. What can be released out? What can be admitted? The duty to disclose. All of that is here. There are so many other, and there are other laws, other court rules that speak to discovery. But I just pulled in the, and this is the federal rules of criminal procedure, because this is still a criminal investigation regarding a capital murder offense. So federal rules of criminal procedures will apply in this case. She doesn't even care. As opposed to her and her team reading this stuff. They're just going out saying nonsense. Candace, you're still dumb. I don't even know how else. I just can't with her. I can't. Yes, Tavares, we're gonna go to that. I'm probably running behind on that. But thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. This is our reaction to Candace in her live stream. And I like doing the live when she's live so I can go into her chat and leave comments and questions and all these things that I know she's reading. She's just ignoring because she doesn't like people challenging her, because she's a clown. So did my camera go out? Oh, Lord. Yeah, my camera went out. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you guys for watching and for your support. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And I will be doing a live stream shortly with Umar. So if you can catch it, please do. Thank you for the support. And until the next one, Lady Luck Club out. Deuces. Oh, wait. I got supers. Hold on. Thank you, Rosetta, for the $20 super. Hi, LLC. Glad to be back. Hi, Chat Miles. Cold here. It always cold. Thank you for the $20 super. And thank you for the membership gifted. Shout out to you, Rosetta. That's a blessing. So, yeah, I think that's a $25 goal, Matt. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate all of you all for tuning in. Wanted to give you that shout out, Rosetta. Thank you so much for the support and for your contribution to the LLC. All right, you guys. Y'all take care. Have a good one. And I will see you in the next one. Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.